Welcome to the Fourth Down Experience, the podcast devoted to special teams. Your host of the Fourth Down Experience, former pro free agent, 9-year professional kicking coach out of the Midwest, Coach Chris Hughesby. Alongside Coach Chris Hughesby is a former 2-time Arena Bowl champ, 9-year pro kicking coach, repping the South, Coach Brian Jackson.
Hey 40 Nation, we are back for industry advice. We had great response in our first segment of doing industry advice as a standalone segment, and we appreciate that. We got Brian here on the other line, and what we wanted to talk to you about this week is punting and the importance of it and some little tips to help bring your punting game to the next level. How you doing, Brian?
I'm good, man. I'm excited about this one. I know a lot of guys want to perfect that punting craft. It's a very difficult craft to perfect. It's hard. It's challenging. And so I think this is going to be a nice 5 to 6 minute segment on learning some important tools. Now that the season's over, you guys can really focus in and hone in on these drills.
Exactly. You know, I always like to tell my story at camps, but I was a kicker in high school. I was a quarterback for a few years, but mainly linebacker, kicker. I got to college, and there were 4 freshman kickers there. And so there was immediate competition. And so what we always like to stress, guys, is there is almost like a 5-to-1 ratio of kickers to punters. And so, you know, when Brian and I run camps or do lessons, we encourage our kickers to learn how to punt. And I know it's not always easy at first, but man, if you could just become a better kicker, it could do wonders. One, for your team, maybe getting to varsity a little bit quicker. But in the recruiting world, if a coach knows that you can punt, man, it could really change the game for you in recruiting. So we just wanted to give you a few tips and thoughts about what you could do to get into punting and not have it be like a drastic step. So first easy tip we wanted to give you guys is to talk about flexibility. All right? I didn't take it as serious when I was younger. I learned the hard way. But flexibility is huge. The higher you can drive your foot in a swing, the higher you could drive that ball. You know, and leg speed is going to be important with that, but that flexibility in your hamstring, the area behind your knee, being able to have the flexibility in your ankle to lock out your foot as well is going to be key to adding hang time and being able to drive that ball for distance. All right, Brian, what do you have for tip number 2?
Well, I agree. First off and foremost on flexibility, guys, y'all have to hammer in on those hamstrings. I mean, really get those hamstrings nice and flexible and really look into some yoga stuff and different things on the internet. You guys can YouTube a bunch of stuff. But just, really just stretch every day. You really should take 5-10 minutes to stretch every day. And before you do that stretch, you should get the blood flowing. You should do 100 jumping jacks or take a little light jog around the neighborhood. You should always get that blood flowing before you stretch, so that way the muscles are nice and loose. But really, you guys should be stretching at least 5 to 6 times a week. Second tip, as far as helping your improving technique, I mean, I'm just going to go off one of our podcast interviewees who's making some nice money at the highest level. You know, Bradley Pinion of the 49ers, who was a guest on the show here. For 4 years now, he's been playing in the league. And he told us on the podcast that in any practice that they have, in any organized practice that they have with 49ers, he's always told himself that he's going to do 250 drops every time they practice. And he said he's been doing that for 4 years now.
Yeah.
That's remarkable. I mean, that's intense. So if you know a guy is doing that at the highest level, then why aren't you doing it? You know, and if we had resources like a podcast or kicking coaches like this, 20 years ago, and I heard this stuff, and I knew this was the stuff to do in order to make it that highest level, I'd be out there busting my ass doing the same thing. So, guys, y'all need to do drop drills. Walking around the track, holding the ball out, extending the ball, drop it down, lay it flat, and hopefully that ball bounces straight up. It's just doing drop drills, getting on a knee, extending your elbow out about 90%, 10% elbow bend, have a little bit of a tilt of the ball, a little bit to the left, about 11 o'clock, and have that ball nice and flat, and just let the thing bounce right up and down.
Yeah.
250 drops a day.
We'll tell you what, guys, here's one more tip to go along with drops. You're probably either in your car or at your house listening to this. You could literally sit there and watch a 30-minute TV show and do drops, and all you got to do is stand in place in your living room while you're watching the TV and drop. And I bet you'll get 200 drops in a 30-minute segment, if not more. So you could drop it straight on the ground. You could drop it off the elbow rest of your couch if you got that sort of pillow format of your couch, right? And there's so many easy ways to sneak in drops. And the drop is one of the number one resources or number one successful elements to give you a spiral. So, that's going to help you as well. Third thing, guys, for punting, oftentimes we talk about punting is harder than kicking. You got in kicking you got a stationary ball. You got a stationary tee. Obviously depending on what you're doing, field goals or kickoffs. Punting, you're a moving body. You're a moving ball. That ball's getting dropped as you're moving. You got to be consistent. Punting is often technique and leg speed. So punters, you don't have to be 6'3", 6'4", and have that long lever. However, that does help. It's technique and leg speed. That's all you got to do, and just develop the leg speed. And so our last tip here, guys, is develop leg speed, fast twitch muscles. So doing things like cleans, box jumps, ladders, anything to develop fast twitch muscles, jumping back and forth over a line, doing jump rope, swimming in a pool, doing leg swings. All those things, guys, are really easy things that you can do to give yourself fast twitch muscles and strength for punting. So,
hey guys, we hope you really enjoyed this segment on just a couple tips on punting. Again, get out there, take a little jog, and get some stretching in. You guys need to be stretching 5 to 6 times a week, and really hammer in on those hamstrings and focusing on the drop. The little things that count, guys. We appreciate you listening to these podcasts. We'll be doing this every week, giving nice tips about things. We really would love it if you guys shared it on your Twitter or your Instagram story. We'll definitely repost it on our stories and give you a shout out. And if you guys have any questions or want us to talk about anything else, feel free to send us a DM. Thanks, guys.
Yep. And if you would like our help, Brian and I offer virtual lessons, and we also run camps together and remotely. So hit us up on Team Jackson Kicking on Instagram and Twitter, and Special Teams FB, or even nationalkickingrankings.com. And we would love to help you out along the process. All right. And for some of you guys that are interested, some of our camps that we have coming up, we do have a camp coming up December 22nd, a 3-hour mini camp held in Minneapolis, Minnesota. End of December, we'll be opening up an NKR Texas hub, and on December 29th, we'll be running a camp in Dallas. And then actually the following day, December 30th, a camp in Houston. So we wanted to offer the opportunities to train with us, learn from us, get evaluated through the National Kicking Rankings platform. And then in January, if you want to join us up in Minnesota, January 11th and 12th, we'll be running a day-and-a-half camp for specialists. So thanks again, guys, for all the support, and we would love to help you out in any way we can. Final tip, guys, on YouTube, look up the stretch video, Best Warm-Up for Kickers, Punters, and Snappers. It is a warm-up and stretch routine that we developed and use in every camp and lesson we do, but it's going to really stretch the muscles that you need for kicking, punting, and snapping. Your hamstrings, your groin, your hip flexors, your abs, everything you need. So that's our final tip. Thanks again, guys, for joining us. We are always available for virtual lessons if you can't meet us in person. And Brian and I do run a number of camps together and separately. And if you do want to reach out to us, check out Special Teams FB on Twitter and Instagram. And then Team Jackson Kicking on Twitter and Instagram. And we'll see you next week.
Later, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Fourth Down Experience. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Fourth Down Experience.